All right, let's talk about generative AI. It feels like it's changing everything, doesn't it? It's creating art, writing code, composing music, all at a speed that's kind of hard to keep up with. But all this amazing power brings up some huge, urgent questions. Questions about who owns what we can actually trust, and what all of this means for our future. So let's jump right in and try to untangle this together.
I want to start with just a number, $432,500. Just let that sink in for a second. What do you think that's the price of? A new Ferrari? Maybe a small apartment in a big city? Nope, it's the price of this.
So back in 2018, this piece of art called Edmond de Bellamy sold at a huge auction. But here's the twist. It wasn't painted by a person at all. It was generated from scratch by an algorithm. And that single sale, well, it threw a giant wrench into our whole understanding of what creativity and ownership even mean. This new creative machine is forcing us to face some really fundamental questions about how our world works. So in this explainer, we're going to tackle three of the biggest ones, starting with the most obvious question that painting brings up. First up, if an AI makes something, who gets to own it? This one question immediately pulls us into this tangled web of intellectual property, and, as we're about to see, it has everything to do with our own personal privacy. So here's the core conflict. For centuries, right, our laws have been built around this idea of a human author, someone with a specific intention, a spark of originality, who has moral rights to their own work. But in AI, it doesn't have intent. It's basically just a super advanced pattern matcher, generating stuff based on probabilities it learned from data that already exists. This creates a massive legal gray area. So who gets the credit? Is it the person who programmed the AI? Is it you, the person who wrote the prompt? Or is it something else entirely? And this is where that ownership question gets really, really personal. See, for these AI models to learn anything, they have to be fed just unbelievable amounts of information. We're talking articles, images, code, you name it. Basically, a huge chunk of the internet. And yeah, sometimes that includes personal data that was gathered without anyone giving explicit permission. That data is the fuel for the engine, and that raises some serious questions about confidentiality. Think of it this way. Using a big public AI model is kind of like using a public library. It's an incredible resource available to everyone. But there's a real risk. The information you put in, let's say it's a confidential business strategy or a personal message, could get absorbed by the model and then, without you even knowing it, end up on someone else's shelf, totally exposed. This is exactly why the idea of private AI is becoming such a game changer. Private AI is like having your very own secure personal library, one that's built just for you or your company. And here's the crucial difference. With a private AI model, your data, your books, they never ever leave the room. They're used to give you smart insights for sure, but they stay locked down within your secure bubble. Privacy isn't just an add-on, it's built in from the very beginning. Okay, so let's move on to our second big question. Even if we figure out the whole ownership mess, can we actually trust the things these models are telling us? This gets us into the thorny issue of accuracy and this really strange thing called AI hallucination. This quote you're looking at, it's from an actual judge in an actual court order. What happened was an attorney, trying to be efficient, used ChatGPT for his legal research. The AI just made up a bunch of fake legal cases and precedents, and the lawyer submitted them to the court. It was a huge public lesson in what happens when you trust these systems blindly. This phenomenon has a name: AI hallucination. And here's the most important thing to understand. Generative AI is not a database of facts. It's not a truth machine. It's a probabilistic text generator. Its main job is to predict the next most likely word to create a sentence that sounds right, not to state something that's verifiably true. So, what's the answer? Well, for now, it's us. It's you. No matter how sophisticated this technology becomes, our own critical thinking, our ability to double-check sources, our human judgment, that's the ultimate firewall. The tech is an assistant, not an authority. Humans have to be the ones to verify. Now, of course, the people building these things are working hard to fix this. They're attacking the problem from a few different angles. It all starts with using higher quality, cleaner data to train the models. Then they're refining the internal architecture, the AI's brain, if you will. They're also building in feedback loops so the AI can learn from its mistakes.
And maybe most importantly, they're developing custom models that are trained only on a company's own verified information, which, just like private AI for privacy, dramatically cuts down the risk of the AI just making stuff up.
Okay, this leads us to our third and final question, and it's the biggest one of all. If we zoom way out, beyond ownership and accuracy, is this technology fundamentally making us better? Is it a force for good? This is what's known as the dual-use dilemma. The potential for good is, well, it's genuinely awe-inspiring. We are talking about things like radically accelerating drug discovery to cure diseases, personalizing education for every single student on Earth, and just unlocking whole new worlds of scientific research and human creativity. But, and you knew there was a but coming, every one of those incredible promises has a dark side. The very same technology can amplify the worst of our societal biases, because that's what's in the training data. It can pump out disinformation at a terrifying scale. It can create deepfakes that are so convincing we can no longer trust our own eyes and ears, opening the door to all sorts of new fraud and manipulation. Because of this, the whole conversation in the AI world is shifting. It's moving past just building guardrails to prevent bad things from happening. The new challenge is about actively and deliberately steering this technology toward positive outcomes, to build AI that actually helps create a fairer, more just, and more prosperous world. So, how in the world do we do that? How do we navigate all these challenges and actually forge a responsible path forward? Well, it's definitely not about finding one single magic bullet. It's really about building a complete system of governance, a kind of triad where three parts lock together. We absolutely need smart legal frameworks to set clear rules, but we know laws can be slow to catch up, so we also need strong ethical guidance from the community to fill in the gaps. And finally, we need robust technical solutions, things like private AI, to put all those values and rules into practice. Each part supports the others. And that really leaves us with three core insights that are starting to emerge from this whole complex conversation. First, innovation by itself is not enough. It has to be paired with accountability. Second, human judgment has to remain our ethical anchor. Technology is a co-pilot, not the pilot. And third, we need to see ethics not as a barrier to progress, but as the engine of progress, the very thing that guides this incredible tool toward a future that benefits everyone. Because ultimately, that's what generative AI is, a tool. It might just be the most powerful tool humanity has ever created. So the fundamental question isn't really about what the technology can do. It's about what we choose to do with it and who we decide to become in the process.